Yeah, so this is the new computer I'm going to be building. All right, so this is the motherboard, i9 13900K, 128 gigs of RAM. That's the HSF I got. And over here, that pillowcase has my hard drives in it. I just like wrapped them in towels to kind of pad them. But if I lift that up a little bit, that's a GTX 670. So that's basically, so I don't have a GPU for this yet, a new one I mean, but I can still use that old one for now. And that motherboard has a legacy mode, so I can install Windows 7, and I have a Windows 7 disk with me. I got one that I used all the way back when I used to work on computers back in the day. But so I'll just build it here on the tabletop, and then, I got this little cheapo monitor that I could use for now. Then of course, in that blue bag right there, I got like keyboard and mouse and all that shit. One thing I didn't think about though, all the hard drives I got with me got stuff on them, right? Like I have an SSD in my computer there, but obviously it's got the OS for that system. And I don't actually have any drives that are like a blank drive, but that's not a huge deal because, I mean, at least for right now, pretty much all I'd be doing is sticking the CPU in there, putting the RAM on, and then putting the that on. And then, so like that's a 1200 watt power supply. The one in my other computer is only 700. But I mean, I built that, years and years ago. Also, that one's 80 platinum, 80 plus platinum. The other one's only 80 plus gold. A little bit of savings on, like energy because it's more efficient. Not a huge, the only step up, it's not a huge difference, but it, is a slight difference. The next step up from 80 platinum is 80 titanium, but at that point you'd pay double, right? Like this power supply costs like $300, something like that. Basically, well, first of all, I know the motherboard, the CPU, and the RAM alone was like $1,500. I think that's like $300. Yeah, so there's like $2,000 just right here, right? Now at some point I'm going to get a 4090 or whatever the high end, G4 NVIDIA card is, but that on its own is $1,600. The GPU I have in that one's pretty old. GTX 670 is pretty old, but everything I do on the computer, the games I play are usually 10 plus years old at this point, and a lot of them, most of them are already CPU limited anyway. So the GPU doesn't even play a huge factor to start with. All these little whatever. So it ends up being more the CPU that really, and I mean, this is the only one higher up from this is the KS, but it's only like a 5% difference, and it's like that's not worth, I mean, this costs like 700 or something like that. The next step up is like 1,000. I'm like, I'm good. It's kind of like when I built that system over there. I had got the i7 950 because the next step up at the time was like the 970 or something, and same idea. It cost $300 or $400 more, but only for a slight performance boost. So I'd get like just the step down. So once it's all built out, like I said, the data hard drives I can reuse. I'm going to have to get another SSD just to put the OS on. And then at some point I'm going to get a new 16 terabyte drive and copy again everything that's off, those drives to it, just to make sure it's good, and then try formatting those drives and see if that fixes the issue. Hopefully, it was just like a file table corruption. It's not an actual physical disk issue. But I think what my problem was with that thing is that I didn't even think to check originally, but actually went into undervolt the CPU to try to mitigate the overheating because it was riding right at 100C. And like in the OS, it was throttling itself really hard. And I just happened upon the voltages, and I don't know why I never thought to check it before, but all the voltages were like 12% down. They're normally supposed to be in the like 3 to 5% plus or minus the stated voltages. So what it was I think just the power supply was dying. I had it so long, and stuff wasn't getting enough power, and that's what was causing all the seemingly random shutoffs. Seemingly, it was just probably due to the fact that it would just need a certain amount of power at a point that it just couldn't deliver due to the voltage being off, and it probably sags even more when it's actually being used. But that should last. Basically, it sounds like a lot of money, right? It's going to be probably 3,500 plus once it's all put together, even with the parts I reuse. But I mean, if I got lucky with this one and like that one, it lasts 12 years. That's actually not a whole lot, like month to month, like spread out. It's not as much as it seems. But yeah, so here in a bit, I'm literally just going to stick the CPU and RAM in there, put the heatsink on, and then from that point, I'll figure out what I'm going to do as far as a drive to actually install to the OS for this system. First, I think, well, I don't know, I'll just leave it at that. But yeah, just wanted to show that.